Welcome to No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I'm your host, Rick Becker, our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Hi there.
Great show tonight. I'm looking forward to meeting the guest you've lined up for us.
I think she's terrific. You'll enjoy her. Her name is Charlotte Bergmann from Tennessee, so I got to meet her last week.
We've got an executive order that I think is more interesting than most of them. And but to start with, I want to talk about COVID vaccines a little bit.
Alrighty.
So we cover COVID stuff here, but of course, it's in our lives, it's in our face every day, something different. And you know, last time, well, not last time, but somewhat recently, I kind of got on a little rant about why people should stop worrying about people who have not gotten vaccinated.
Right.
And you know, I simplified it, and I said they don't need to worry or they won't get it. Well, nothing is 100%. I want to be clear that when we're talking in quick, you know, sound bites, it's not a scientific paper. We're not weighing things out thoughtfully. What we're just saying is the overall sense of things. Yes, breakthroughs are possible. Yes, you may have a 1% or 2% chance of getting COVID from someone, even though you've been vaccinated after you've been exposed to them. But the point is, nearly all, right? So nothing is a 100%. I want to clarify that, and we can go into more detail on it. But I mean, really, I just want to say what I said before stands within the realm of understanding that we're not talking about 100% of anything.
Right.
So
there's always going to be an exception.
There's always exceptions, but exceptions make the rule.
Correct.
Pull up the first graphic if you would. So now there's a new thing. The feds are now saying, hey, we need booster shots. So this has been in the making for a while, but now it's official. They are saying, hey, the shots that we've been saying are going to be so amazing. It turns out that they lose their efficacy relatively fast over the course of 6 to 8 months, which I find shocking. That
is kind of shocking. I mean, you think about the vaccinations that you get as children, and they are supposed to be lasting for years and years. So that is interesting.
And this is an experimental vaccine.
Right.
That's not conjecture. It's experimental because it is approved. All three of them are approved by the FDA only under the emergency use authorization. So they're figuring things out as they go, which is fine. If you're good with that, you're good with that. But the thing is that they initially thought, well, this is likely to give long term. Turns out, no, not so much. They said, and you may remember this, we were getting reports, yes, there are variants, but the vaccine is good against the variants. And we said here in the program, I said, it is highly unlikely it's going to be good for future variants.
Right.
Because the vaccine is based on the spike protein. What's different about the variant is the spike protein. And sure enough, I mean, you use common sense. You don't have to be the world's top epidemiologist to figure this crap out. It turns out it's not good. The other thing, we require people to be vaccinated even if they had COVID. The folks that are in favor of that are basing it on emotion. They're not basing it on logic. Pull up the next graphic. We are finding, as we're learning that vaccinated people are losing their immunity, we are finding that people who are naturally infected and naturally immunized against COVID are retaining their immunity. It's going into the T cells and B cells, which then get reactivated upon reinfection. Now, some people are using that to say, well, sure, that's great, and that's why you need the shot to reactivate. That's not how it works.
Absolutely.
It's not that it's bad, it's just that it's not necessary. And so all of these mandates, you were just talking about Biden mandating for nursing homes.
Right.
Well, okay, why for everyone? Why are we mandating someone who has natural immunity to be vaccinated?
Think about that too in terms of one size fits all. That can't possibly work for everyone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you can't do one size fits all with anything, really, because everybody's different genetically.
Now, I got a call today from someone who I respect a great deal, and that person said, hey, my employer is going to require vaccines. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to go about getting a medical exemption. A religious exemption. If I get a shot, maybe I think J&J is probably better. Let me just tell you what my thoughts are. Number one, don't call me. I'm not going to give medical exemptions. It's outside of my field. I'm not going to lose my medical license. I wouldn't even know what to say. Like, you're allergic to eggs? I don't know.
Right.
For the religious exemption, I think that's a good way to go. It contains fetal cells. Who's to argue with you if you say that's against your religious beliefs? I think that's a very good way to go. The most important thing I can say for right now is to drag your feet. And the reason I say that is twofold, if not threefold. Number one, next graphic, please. We talked about this earlier. There is a new type of COVID vaccine that should be coming out soon. Now, does that change things if you hate the idea of getting a vaccine? No, it doesn't. However, if you are like me and some of your primary concerns are beyond the fact that it's highly unlikely to cause you death if you're healthy and not in old age. Right. It's this aspect of being an entirely new category unto itself. Messenger, RNA, ribonucleic acid, vaccine, whole new thing. Nobody knows the long term. So is it going to be okay? It could be. It could be. But you don't. Nobody knows. Quit telling me it's safe. You don't. Nobody knows. That's a fact.
So is this new vaccine not an mRNA?
That's right. This vaccine uses the approach that regular vaccines that we've been taking for decades and decades. It uses that approach. It doesn't have some of those same concerns. So drag your feet. Perhaps if you are pushed into a corner, this vaccine would be better. Next graphic. Another reason why I say drag your feet. They are looking at oral antivirals for COVID.
Finally.
Now, if they come out with a pill that, oh, you got COVID, pop the pill, and you're going to be fine, then it once again takes the burden and the pressure off people that need to feel 100% protected to try and force you to get vaccinated so that you take away the tiny likelihood that you could get infected, and when you're infected, you could be in front of that person, and then they have a 1 or 2% chance of getting the disease, which if they get the disease and they've been vaccinated according to what they say, the symptoms are so mild. So it's nuts. So drag your feet, see about a different vaccine, see about a different oral medication. Now, going on a little tangent on this, I want to bring up that the other thing I discussed in this phone call is, wow, where's the nation going with this? We were divided. We started diverging passionately against each other prior to Trump. That division is what brought Trump in to office, I believe. That division expanded during Trump's term. Right. It expanded further after Trump's loss in the election, and it has been expanding further because of COVID.
I agree.
We are a divided nation, and it has become so emotional. And I for people that have, like myself, like you, Lori, rational reasons for being concerned about the vaccine, rational reasons and an appreciation of liberty to say it doesn't make sense to have a mask mandate for children, right?
Yep.
But yet we're vilified. Yeah. And the people that are in favor, the people that say, yes, sir, government, the people that I think, the ones that we have previously called Karens, that screech at you, you got to do what government said that I'm supposed to do and you're supposed to do. I mean, I see a resemblance to the folks that were complicit in some of our previous major wars, complicit with the enemy in trying to get people to comply.
Right.
I don't know why it's human nature to try and force others to comply with a mandate. So pull up this video, please.
A new terror alert has been issued by Homeland Security tonight. Pete Williams is here. Pete, what do we know about this?
Well, DHS says this new terrorism advisory is not based on any actual threats or plots, but it says there's a rise in anti-government rhetoric. Some of it is opposition to COVID public health rules like mask and vaccine measures. Some calls for violent action are based on claims of election fraud or a belief that Donald Trump can be reinstated. And DHS says the coming 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks and religious holidays later this year could be catalysts for violence. The last terror advisory was issued in May. It expired today. This new one says domestic extremism remains a threat priority, Lester.
All right, Pete, thank you.
So that just shows you we're so divided that
we're just making crap up
for
now.
people like me that I've got concerns about COVID and what they're putting out, considering that they've been wrong over and over and over. I could be on the terrorist list. You believe, I think, that's at least there's some election fraud in some states.
I'm on the terror list too.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, we'll keep you up to date on this whole COVID mess, so you keep watching. No apologies. We'll be right back.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to pull them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
At Beck Communications, we've been planning for your future. Over the past decade, we've placed nearly 200,000 miles of dedicated fiber optics in the ground. Enough fiber optic strands to circle the world 8 times. Taking no shortcuts, we connected every home and business in our service area with dedicated fiber optics. It's your personal, unrestricted, unthrottled connection to the world. Best of all, this dedicated fiber means you do not share your connection. We call this intimate dedicated connection Beck Fiber.
Welcome back. It's No Apologies. And Lori, we've got a great guest, Charlotte Bergmann.
Yes, now
author.
Charlotte and I met last week while I was in Tennessee, and I met this lovely lady and had a conversation with her. I'm like, I think we should have her talk about what's going on in Tennessee on the show. And then I learned after that that she was an author as well. Please welcome Charlotte Bergmann, Tennessee Congressional candidate and also author extraordinaire. Thank you so much, Charlotte, for being on.
I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, which is Elvis country. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent. So I thought we would just kind of introduce you to our audience here, Charlotte, and talk a little bit about your history, and then maybe move into a little bit what's going on in Tennessee, because that's where I met you.
Okay, good. I love Tennessee. I was born here. I attended school, of course, in various other places, but I'm from a family of 10 children. At one point, we lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we eventually moved on up and moved into a 2-bedroom apartment. We were poor, but you know, your past does not dictate your future. And so I'm excited about my life. I'm the only one in my family who graduated from college, and God has just touched me and brought me about to be a person that stands in the gap for a number of people who do not understand that their freedom is worth fighting for. And that's what I'm doing. As you'd indicated, I am the author of the book, The Last Trumpet in the Battle for America. Many of you probably can relate to the fact that I was referencing President Donald J. Trump, because when his finger was designed to be stuck in that dike to hold back the bad things that were happening in the United States, we blew it. We blew it because many people didn't read my book. So you guys need to go back and look at that book.
Right, now they need to read your book, exactly. So tell me a little bit about Tennessee and what the climate is there. You have some good Republicans in your state. I got to meet two of the senators from the state, Marsha Blackburn and Bill Hagerty.
Yes, Bill Hagerty, actually he was the ambassador, and President Trump helped him to get elected. But Tennessee is a great state. President Trump apparently holds us in very high esteem. He actually endorsed our governor that night, Governor Bill Lee. That was Nashville. I live in the western part of Tennessee, the far western part of Tennessee, near the Mississippi River, and it is primarily 66% African American. It is an extremely liberal state. We have a current congressman who is willing to go in front of the Congressional House and eat Kentucky Fried Chicken. So that's how much he understands and appreciates the House that the people own. But I'm looking forward to, we're testing the water, and I'm considering potentially running against him, but then that's a year away, so we've got time. Right now, I'm working on some initiatives in my state. Today, I spoke with about 4 people, and they were talking about the UV systems that kill COVID. And in my community, as I referenced, it's a liberal city. They would rather our children go to school with masks on their face and try to learn in that environment. But these UVs that are placed in the ducts and in the air conditioning kills COVID. Now let's see, will they choose to install those units, or will they choose to continue to push the mask? We will see. But what is so exciting is people in my community are beginning to stand up and stand for their rights. In the state of Tennessee, we have a great governor who has allowed us to be able to avoid the mandate for mask wearing for the vaccines. And it is recommended, but it shouldn't be forced. But in my particular community, the liberals want to force things upon us because they want to get ready for 2022 and have a repeat of 2020. Yep. We're not going to
I think you're probably right. We're getting the feeling that that's kind of the plan too, is just we've tested the waters, it worked last time, and we can probably push that again too. And do you find that those liberals in your part of Memphis, do you find that they are doing a little virtue signaling with the whole mask wearing things? Because I have seen that. I cannot tell you how many times that rather than it being something that is useful, people view that as a signal to everybody else that they're far superior. Now, do you get that same feeling?
They want to make you feel guilty. You know, if you don't wear a mask, you're killing other people. But they're forgetting the fact that each parent should have an opportunity based upon the executive orders issued by our governor and by the legislation passed by our General Assembly, that the parents who want to ensure that their children are free to learn without the hindrance of wearing a mask, they have a right to. I'd like to share with you the story of our family's encounter with COVID. In February, my brothers died. 2 brothers died a week apart. And when we buried my last brother, my sister came down with COVID. She was your typical statistic. She weighed 300 pounds, Black female. She probably would have been the 3rd person to die. But this big sister of hers demanded that she, first of all, do not go to a hospital. And then we provided her with supplements. As long as you are able to catch the disease before it totally invades your body, you can probably use the supplements. I've used them for quite some time. My sister is alive today. And then last weekend, my daughter-in-law told me that her daughter had gone to a Mexican party and the family got COVID. And mom sent a care package. They are well. They are doing well. This is a disease that can be managed with supplements and good health.
No, I
And
think that's
the fear
very true.
factor, the fear factor is something that it's just overblown. They're making a big issue out of it, and it's not necessary.
It's all about control.
Control and fear.
And fear. Yep.
I have a quick question for you. I'm just interested with in your background. So, I mean, 10 kids in a single bedroom apartment, moved up to a 2-bedroom apartment. So here's what I'm thinking. In my little simple way of thinking, either your mom or your parents instilled in you that you were in control of your destiny, you were not a victim, or you somehow escaped out of an environment in which that was, when we're talking about an area that is heavy liberal, heavy Democrat, the victim, the oppressed narrative is so strong and entrenched, and it's everywhere in your bubble. So do you attribute that to some clear-headed thinking on your part? Do you attribute it to your parents?
I'll tell you what, my father was a Baptist minister, and he instilled that foundation within me. I've grown to know the Lord and to give my life over to him. And I contribute my decision to be strong and to accept my God-given rights to be an American from him. And that's why I fight for freedom. And I'm changing minds in my community, and people are beginning to understand that this body, within this body, you can't have fear and faith at the same time. So you gotta make a choice.
Yep, good for you. And you are changing minds. And what's nice is Congress or not, you are having an effect on the world. So that's fantastic. We're going to have you for the next segment. So, folks, we will be back in just a couple of minutes.
Okay, thank you.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Prairie Patriot Firearms and Training is the region's most complete gun and training center. 5-lane indoor range, a gun shop, and a certified training facility. Firearms training courses are offered daily for new, intermediate, and advanced shooters. If you're not comfortable in a classroom setting, Prairie Patriot offers one-on-one private lessons, from basic self-defense training to concealed weapons testing, along with a full line of guns, ammunition, holsters, and concealment clothing. Prairie Patriot, 3930 Memorial Highway, prairiepatriot.com.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Welcome back to No Apologies on Beck, your after-hours oasis of sanity. I am your host, Rick Becker, co-host, Lori Hens.
Hello.
Special guest, Charlotte Bergmann, straight from Tennessee. Welcome back, Charlotte.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Lori, you mentioned that we wanted to talk about her book. I'd like to hear about it because the comment that she made earlier I think was fantastic.
Stick your finger in the dike, right?
I love it.
So true. The Last Trumpet in the Battle for America is the title of this. And you wrote this book a few years ago, I want to say 2018. Is that the year that book came out?
That is, I think it was 2019.
Might be 2019. Okay. So this book, you decided that you were going to sit down and write this book. How long did it take you, and what was your inspiration to write this book?
I'm one of those strange people that gets dreams. And I felt that the Lord was telling me to do this, and I did. And during the time of my writing it, my grandson was murdered on the streets of Memphis. That gave me even more of a reason to want to finish it. Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated in the streets of Memphis. We have young people that are dying almost daily in Memphis. As a matter of fact, my city is considered the second most dangerous, most violent city in the state per capita. I wanted to reach more of my fellow brothers and sisters, and I really wanted the book to be read by pastors who are responsible for leading large numbers of people, because I believe that during the Revolutionary War, it was the pastors who were involved in the Black Brigade who actually were instrumental in motivating the people to come out and fight. So I wrote the book and I passed it on to a number of pastors, but it talks about how you can be comfortable. You know, as I shared with you, the lady stopped me in the store and she had tears in her eyes. The book helps people to understand, how did we get here? How do we get to this point where we, especially as a Black person, pretty much raised in the church with conservative ideals, are allowing liberals to get us to do things that are against the Bible, abort our babies, do all types of things that actually keeps our country and our city from being successful. And I believe as long as we're doing what God wants us to do, He blesses us and brings about prosperity. That's my belief. Nobody can change my belief. I believe that I've seen Him in action. And that's,
so tell me about the title in particular. Is that referencing a Bible story, or is that a little play on Trump there, or both?
My hero is and has been Donald J. Trump. And I felt very strongly when I wrote that book that Donald J. Trump was the one person that would be, in essence, be the person to stick his finger in that dike and hold back the torrent, hold back the evil that would overtake the United States. And I still think that he will fulfill that role. I don't think he is gone. He's behind the scenes. And I think that he is protecting us from totally going as under and becoming a Marxist, socialist, tyrannical nation.
Interesting
so
stuff.
I encourage people to read my book. And if you hadn't read it, that's probably the reason we're in the mess that we're in temporarily.
So do you solve all the problems in your book? That's fabulous. That's great.
I do.
I really like that. What you indicated that you are weighing the decision to run for Congress. What is it? The sort of just the natural logistics that a politician or someone that looking to run wants to consider? Is it something with the atmosphere in the United States? What are you looking at to make that decision?
I'm looking at, and it is happening. I'm getting invited to various people's organizations, being asked to speak at various events, but the logistics involve having the right amount of financial resources, activists on the streets to knock on those doors, as well as a great campaign manager. If somebody would like to consider being my campaign manager, give me a call. I look forward to talking to you.
All right. So you're raring to go. You're ready to go. It's a matter of whether you can get the machine established to make that run feasible and at least have a solid chance of winning, right?
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. And it is essential that once our president comes back, and I say that very, very seriously, he definitely needs people that will support him in Congress that share the vision of America first and not America last.
That's great.
It is. So you have, how many different congressional seats do you have in the state of Tennessee?
We have 9.
You have 9.
Correct.
So this would be one of those 9 congressional seats then too. And so the Memphis dynamic is so interesting to me because it is so liberal there. That must be an adventure to try to run in that district.
And see, here's the dichotomy. It is considered a liberal city, but the majority of the people that I interact with, my target audience, they are conservatives. They're just afraid to come out and say it. And as a lot of people are, they will go with the winner. Many of them. Yeah. But then we do have election fraud, and we do have a Tennessee Bureau of Investigation agent who has described in detail the fraud. So I'm working with 50 states, 50 audits, and we're going to get to the bottom of this. And so we can have free and clear elections so that when people go to vote, their votes will count.
Oh, that's the thing. Nobody wants to feel like their votes didn't count. That is the worst possible thing. So,
well, Charlotte, I would say you better be careful because the fact that you are indicating that you believe that there's fraud and that you hope that President Trump comes back puts you on, according to the Department of Homeland Security, a potential terrorist watch list. Did you know that?
I know. I wear it proudly. I wear it proudly.
Well, you don't look like a terrorist to me, but you know, you never can be too safe. So I'm going to keep my distance for now.
Oh, did I tell you also? I have 3 children, and they heard the call, be fruitful and multiply. And I had 14 grandchildren.
Oh my!
One was, and I have 10 great grandchildren. So
what? Come on!
Wow!
Holy. That's a lot.
Great grandmother. Okay.
That's a
oh,
lot.
You look good, girl. All right. So before we finish this up, I just want to say that it was a delight to meet you in Tennessee. And the one thing that I learned about Tennessee is that they know how to do hospitality. I mean, people were so kind to us when we were there, and you just came right up to me. My husband said, I think he said that you talked to him first, and then like he sent you over. But I don't think so. I think you just came right up to me.
I love people. I do. And people are important. And that's why I'm willing to fight.
Well, I really, really appreciate it. I'm so glad that I got to meet you and glad that you could join us tonight. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us here on the show, Charlotte.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you for the invitation. I appreciate talking to you guys. You were fun.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, folks, be back, right back. Stick with us. A couple minutes.
Bye-bye.
When you're buying windows, make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Hi, I'm Jesse with the Window Source. We only sell you the best windows and doors for the best price. Call the Window Source. Just because you pay less doesn't mean you get less.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go. We deliver for you.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows, regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
From Lambeau Field to your living room. Catch all the Green Bay Packers preseason games exclusively on Beck Sports. Available on KRDK, KNDB, or KNDN TV. The Pack take on the Houston Texans August 14th, followed by the New York Jets August 21st, and end off the preseason with the Buffalo Bills August 28th. Check Beck.Sports to find more scheduling and local channel information.
Welcome back. No apologies. So we've got an executive order. We're going to cover it on the next two segments. And I think it's interesting and it deserves a lot of discussion. This could actually take up a whole show.
It probably could.
And it's nothing new. So how is that possible? Well, believe me, it is. So this is a proclamation. It's not an executive order per se. Pull it up, please, guys. It's a proclamation on National Equal Pay Day. And no, they're not referring to the candy bar. It is... They go on here to say, Equal Pay Day is a reminder of the work that still remains to advance equity and ensure that all Americans have the opportunity to reach their full potential. So, every single sentence of this deserves discussion, right?
Right.
So, first off, work needs to be done. So they're taking the approach that if they don't like something, then federal government is the way to do it. So federal government needs to work to fix this. Federal government is going to ensure somehow that we reach our full potential individually.
That is so on its base wrong-headed because it's the people who do the things. The government, we do not need the government to take care of us.
Right.
And they just assume that we want that?
Exactly. So the premise is that they found something they think that is inequitable, right? That women are getting paid less. And so how can they reach their full potential? Well, never fear, here I am, I'm the federal government, right?
And I'm here to help.
Pull
right,
up the next
scary
graphic,
words.
and here's what they come to. Women working full-time year-round are typically paid just 82 cents for every dollar paid to men. That is so blatantly false. I am happy to go into it in detail here. However, we do also have a video from one of my favorites, Thomas Sowell. Go ahead and run the video, please.
Well, you're right. I'm going to quote you again. Among the many factors which influence male-female economic differences, the most elusive is employer discrimination.
Yes, that when you correct for all the various factors, such as the number of hours worked, the continuous employment versus taking a few years out to have children and so on. You take all that into account, the differences between men and women become quite trivial. If you look at the academic world, or as far back as 1969, women who had never married and who had earned higher incomes than men who had never married. They became a tenured professor at a higher rate than men who had never married. And then later on, if you look at the general population, if you take the women who are past the childbearing years and who work continuously, their incomes were higher than men who would work continuously and so on. So the difference is that not that the employer is paying them differently, but that they have different characteristics.
My favorite is the guy's reaction. He's like,
So,
really? That's not what I've been told.
right. Well, I'm going to go on just a little tangent here. So it was recent, maybe 6 years ago, that we in the state legislature had a few bills that the Democrats were putting out, and one or more of them had to do with this pay inequity. And at least in North Dakota, they were saying that women were being paid 78 cents to the dollar that a man was being paid. And I happened to be on the committee where we discussed it. And it is so erroneous that the papers that they gave to support their position, we dove into them deep. And we formed a subcommittee of which I chaired. I requested that the authors of the lead paper that they were using as evidence for their position be on a conference call with us, and did my research. And what it comes down to is even using the research that the Democrats put forth as their basis for making this claim completely falls apart when you look at it statistically and scientifically. What it came down to is when you factored in that a woman commonly will leave the workforce to raise children,
sure,
at least for the purpose of maternity leave, whatever it might be, they lose some of their potential earnings, or at least it temporarily slows it down.
Right.
If you take into account everything, control for each of the variables, there was a very small difference, right? Even the authors, the researchers who are proponents of this false theory admitted that what it came down to when you controlled for the variables was about a 5% difference overall. Now, in some occupations, women were actually being paid more when you controlled for the variables, in others less. On average, about 5% less. What is the reasoning for that? It is, and they know it, and we discussed it, it is because on average, men are more aggressive and they're more assertive. Arguably, they're more, at least outwardly, confident. And so they go to the boss and they say, I deserve a raise. And then they get a raise. Whereas on average, a woman is more likely to say, why am I not getting a raise? Right? I mean, that's just, we are different beings. Despite what the left says, our brains are different. And so I want to share just a little story. My daughter, she called me, we were on the phone. She called me and she said, Dad, and I think she was in college at the time, not quite out of college, Dad, is it true that women make less than men for the same work? And I went into the detail, and she said, why are they saying that that's true if they're not? And I said, it's because they want you to feel like a victim. They want you to feel that someone is holding you down so that they can be your savior to bring you up. They don't want you to think that you can do it yourself.
Yep.
That's the reason why. Moreover, I said to her, keep in mind what I've said to you. The only difference, when you control for everything, the only difference between men and women, if men are making more, is because they go out and get it and they're assertive. So you keep in mind that you know your value and you say, whenever it's appropriate, I want more wages, I want more benefits, I want whatever it is. You need to take control. Don't let a man be the one that gets a raise because that person happens to feel more comfortable. Figure out what you need to do to be comfortable and demand your raise. And she has.
Oh.
And she has. And she can stand for herself, and she is making headway. She's fantastic. There is no difference between her and a man and what they're going to be paid in the future. And
also, you have to take into consideration that men and women do different jobs as a general rule as well. They don't always do the exact same jobs.
Right, and that accounts for some of the bigger disparity.
Sure.
And when you control for that, all that's left is more assertiveness.
Right.
And it's interesting because I've told my staff about this, and they know my daughter very well. I have long-term staff that have worked for me. So they have embraced that concept as well.
Great.
So they
They've heard
feel
the story.
very comfortable coming to me
Watched
for good raises.
That's fabulous.
And my eldest son believes in this very much, and he has had good discussions with my daughter-in-law, ignore the crass colloquialism.
Right.
It's called big dick energy.
Good to know.
Big dick energy. A woman can have it. You go in and you know your worth and you demand. That's all you need to do. There's no sort of timidness. No, not if you're concerned about making as much as a man, then you go in with the confidence that you would typically expect to see from a man.
Well, that's inspiring.
That's the end of it. So I'm proud of my daughter, and she's really taken to heart this aspect that she's not a victim. She's in control of her
I
destiny.
think more women need to do that.
Absolutely, they do. So I'm done with my tangent. We're going to come back on the next segment and follow through with a little bit more of the details in this proclamation. Stick with us.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Spas, etc. You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you can pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
And we're back, and it's our final segment. Thank you for sticking with us. So, Lori, I think instead of what I said colloquialism, maybe it's an idiom, I don't know. Maybe it's just jargon.
It's probably jargon.
We're gonna say BDE.
Okay.
BDE.
Okay.
So then we know what it means, folks. BDE. You go out there, and you know what you got.
Got it.
So let's continue on with our
so
proclamation.
now it's an acronym colloquialism.
Okay, there you go.
Easier for me to say.
BDE.
Yes.
Here we go. So back to, let's pull up the graphic. We're on the National Equal Pay Day 2021.
This came out on March 24th of this year, by the way, too.
It says it's a day that calls us to action to renew our commitment to the principles of equity and equal opportunity that define who we are as Americans. And I'll tell you what, a commitment to principles of equity does not define me as an American. It does not define anybody as an American. It defines people perhaps as Marxists, and we're talking about the equity, not the opportunity, maybe as leftists, whatever it might be. It's not American. It's being equal in the sense of equity is totally different than being equal in the sense of opportunity.
Yep, exactly.
And most important, it is completely different than being equal under the law.
It has everything to do with redistribution is what it has to do.
It does. It has nothing to do with the rest of the stuff.
Okay.
All right, next one
moving on
up.
to the next one.
This one's interesting. While Asian American women make 87% of what white men make, the gap for Asian women varies significantly depending on subpopulation, with some Asian women, for example, Cambodian and Vietnamese women, earning amongst the lowest wages. So there we have it. So if you believe, see again, let's use logic here, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you believe that the reason women make less is because white guys are not only racist, apparently, but also misogynist, then what we have to take from that is that apparently white guys, on average, like Cambodians and Vietnamese less than Koreans and Japanese and Chinese.
This is so dumb.
It's extremely stupid. And beyond that, Black, Native American, and Hispanic women who earned 63% for Black women, 60% for Native American women, and 55% for Hispanic women. So what they're saying, if you believe anything, if there's any rationale to what they're saying, is that the disparities aren't cultural. They're not the types of jobs that these women take. It's all about racism and misogyny. And so can you imagine that us old white guys, we've got a chart. In fact, whenever this is true, whenever I hire a woman, I ask the race, and then I have to excuse myself. I go to my office and I'm like, let's see, woman. So we're at 82%, but wait a minute.
I did not detect the sarcasm off the bat there.
And if possible, I get a 23andMe, because what if they're part black and part white and part Asian, and then it's a chart. It's hard. It's really hard. So I know whether I should pay someone 50% of what they would make if they were a man, or 82%. So very, very difficult.
Very funny. I was like, what is he doing? Oh, he's making a joke.
Yes,
okay,
I am. Next.
Took me a second.
It's less of a joke and more ridicule, I would say.
It's
ridicule.
what it is illustrating the absurd by being absurd. That's all it is.
Wow, look at you, Miss Philosopher.
No, that's what
Rush
Limbaugh,
graphic.
the late Rush Limbaugh said that, and it's so true.
It says those gaps will mean, those gaps mean we will not be marking Latina's Equal Pay Day until October, because it takes that long for the average Latina to earn what the average white man made in the previous year.
Literally says the average white man. I'm like, seriously?
You guys suck.
They do.
Next one.
Ridiculous.
It says the burdens and job losses women sustain this year have erased more than 30 years of progress they have made in the labor force, due in large part to the impact of the pandemic. There are 4.2 million fewer women working now than there were in February 2020, and millions more women have had to reduce their hours.
Okay, I take umbrage at this, because those women are at home because their kids are not allowed to be in school, and someone has to care for them. Duh.
Sing it, sister. Take umbrage. Take umbrage.
How
You
dumb
got
is
it.
this? This is so silly. I mean, how can you be so inane that you don't realize that you caused these women to not be working because they have to take care of their children at home because they are not allowed to be into their schools?
So, think about this.
How
Let's
dumb
take it
is
a
this?
step further, Lori. First off, I'm glad you recognized that the problem is caused by government. It wasn't caused by COVID. It wasn't something that was unavoidable. It was caused by government. Secondly, for government to take care of this and make it equitable and make every person live up to their potential, we have to somehow force an equal number of men. When the kids can't go to school, there must be an equal number of men
stay home with
at the
kids.
appropriate distribution of jobs and incomes that stay home as there are women. It can't be a choice of the family. It can't be a choice of the woman. Government must mandate it, because without government mandating, we can never get to this hypothetical equity. It can't happen. I know it sounds absurd. Here, I'm not trying to sound absurd. It must be that for it to occur. Do you think these things through? If you are evaluating this, viewers, you must take into consideration, how would they achieve what they propose? In this case, they must have an equal distribution of men staying home as there are women. It's ridiculous.
It is
and
ridiculous.
It's not
And don't say
intended.
that out loud, because somebody's going to get that dorky idea. So.
Right. Well, but it's not intended to ever happen.
Right.
They don't want this to go away. If it goes away, they don't have it to use to try and disparage conservatives, to try and disparage men, to use women as their props, as their victims du jour. It must stay intact. They have no intent to resolve this. Number one, there's nothing to resolve unless you want to resolve individual choice.
Now this next slide actually is the second part of the first part. For the first part said, we just got done saying, and millions more women have had to reduce their hours. And this says, well, often in response to caregiving. So, well,
that we know fall disproportionately on women. Right there, they're acknowledging that there are differences because of the personal preferences for who's going to stay at home with the kids.
Exactly.
Not every woman's going to feel comfortable with their husband staying home with the kids. I'm just saying. I hate to be, let's see, misogynist.
Sexist.
Misandrist.
Oh, misandrist.
Misandrist. I don't want to be misandrist, but I'm going to say that a lot of men are not going to be extremely proficient at taking care of that 2-year-old, the 5-year-old, and the 8-year-old and meeting their needs at home as well as the mom. Call me sexist.
Whatever. I think, women are nurturers. We just are by nature. I'm just going to say it. All right, let's go to the next one really quick here. We must begin by passing the Paycheck Fairness Act, which will take important steps towards the goal of ending pay discrimination, because the government obviously has to fix it.
Well, right. Next. This is a long one. Basically, they've got solutions all over the place, and all of them involve a ton of spending, a ton of government taking over private business, and a ton of government taking over personal choice and personal responsibility. And the next one is the last one we're going to show here. It says, Vice President Harris and I are committed to building back better. That's their little phrase, isn't that cute? For low-wage earners, for working families, and for all women, which means we're just happy to say anything as long as you vote for us. That's all that matters. All right.
All right, join us next time. We will host some folks from Southwest North Dakota. Looking forward to that, and treat you to another Freedom Fest interview, and we'll have an off the cuff. It is action-packed. Join us next time. See you soon.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.